It's Mel Bundock here. Welcome to Big Vision TV. And today I'm so excited to invite my guest, Brad Yates. There you go, just in case you didn't know who he is and just in case you didn't know who I am. I'm a life and mindset coach and I help people to tap into their big vision. Now, one of my greatest influences and most favorite tappers in the universe is this man here. No, I'm pointing the wrong way. This man here. This man here, Brad Yates. I've been lucky enough to attend a couple of his workshops here in the UK, and I was even lucky enough to sit in the hot seat and do some one-to-one tapping. I'm not going to tell you what we tapped about. That's for me and Brad and whoever happened to be at that workshop that day.
What happens in the workshop stays in the workshop.
Yes, exactly. And so I've been very, very lucky to have tapped in person with Brad. But Brad is a huge presence on YouTube, and seriously, Brad, let me. I've done enough talking. Tell us about you in your words, Mr. Tapping Wizard.
Tell you about me?
Yes, you.
Oh.
Yeah. How would you? What's your kind of short kind of elevator pitch? What's your bio?
I have been doing this for over 20 years and I still don't have an elevator pitch. So my wife says, she said, so it's so frustrating when people say, so what does your husband do for a living? I said, that's okay. I have trouble explaining that too. So sometimes I'll just say, I do personal development workshops in about 7 minutes on YouTube.
Yeah, I think any EFT practitioner out there can struggle at times to describe what they do. My parents don't even know what I do. Oh, dear.
My family doesn't talk about it. We had such high hopes for him.
Oh, that's so funny. So Brad recently got the status of having 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, which and I've seen some of the comments on your videos. I think somebody, just one of the ones I happened to see just now when I was looking up through, how many videos do you have now on YouTube, Brad?
It's about 775, I think.
That's incredible. That's amazing. Yeah. And some of the comments I've seen, he should be nominated for a Nobel Prize. He's awesome, comes out all the time, and I remember there was one particular time in my life I was going through a pretty bad time, and I think I was just like flicking, right, I need to find a video. And even though I'm going to ask you this question in a minute, actually, I'll ask you now. As a tapping practitioner myself, I find it much easier to tap with another tapper, because sometimes sitting there tapping on your own stuff just doesn't feel the same. Is it the same for you, Brad? Do you tap on your own stuff?
Yeah, I'll often watch other videos. Sometimes I'll watch my own videos because I know that when I made the video, I was in a more clear mind than what I might be right now.
Yeah.
But because I always like to say self-sabotage is simply misguided self-love.
Mm.
We get ourselves stuck because we're trying to protect ourselves. So when I'm tapping on myself, if there's a part of me that says I need to be stuck right now, I'm not exactly compelled to give myself the kind of words that are going to help me get free. So that's why it's easier to go to someone else, even if sometimes that someone else is my past self, saying words so that it's not me in this moment trying to think about what to tap on. Mm. But so that's what's so helpful about tapping with someone else, because the other person is thank you, Mark. Something like that. The other person is not as committed to you being stuck as you are. Yes. In fact, they're committed to you moving past that. So that's why it's helpful to tap with someone else. That doesn't mean that we can't get all kinds of amazing benefits from tapping on ourselves. And I definitely recommend it to everyone to, just because this process of clearing stress is great for setting ourselves free in all kinds of ways. But with a lot of things, just have someone else who's not, who's committed to us moving forward rather than staying stuck.
And how did you get into tapping, Brad?
I always call this question, how does a grown man find himself tapping on his face for a living? So I started out as an actor, and I was traveling the world doing children's theater, and came back to Hollywood to become a movie star. And while I was there, I met a woman, fell in love, got married. And when she was pregnant with our first child, I thought, maybe I should have a backup career. So rather than getting a steady, regular kind of paycheck job, I trained to become a hypnotherapist because I'd always been fascinated with the power of the mind, and started doing that. And it was great because as a trained actor, and I'd studied in London, so I had this trained actor voice that was very helpful for doing hypnotherapy.
It's a wonderful voice.
And I started doing that. And after about 2.5 years, when our second child was on the way, I came to the realization that this is what I really wanted to do. This was really my calling, doing this kind of personal development work. As much as I loved acting, I felt this is what I'm here to do. We left Los Angeles, and through some other hypnotherapists, heard about tapping and this energy psychology conference and this guy named Gary Craig. And I went and took a one-day training with him, and I just fell in love with it, especially when he had us tapping on chocolate cravings. And after a few minutes, I went from an 8 on wanting the chocolate to a 0. And I didn't eat chocolate for 2 years after that.
Oh my goodness.
I was a chocoholic and it was gone. So I thought, there's something to this tapping stuff. And fortunately, at that same conference, like the next day, I met a woman named Carol Luck, who became a lifelong friend and who is one of the top tappers in the world. So I just started little by little introducing tapping into my hypnotherapy sessions until they became tapping sessions, and still a little bit of hypnosis in them. And thank you, Lynn. And then when YouTube came along, I thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool if I made a tapping video that people could use to start their day? And I know I'll call it Tap of the Morning. And that was all I ever intended to do. That one video was that's I'm just gonna make this one tapping video. And then about 6 months later, I thought, I should have a tapping video for the end of the day, and I'll call it Tap of the Evening. And then I'm done. And then a few months later, I had another idea for a tapping video, and then another idea, and another idea. Now, now on my calendar, I have a long list. Every time I have an idea, I write it down. I have every week. There's just long. With 775 videos, I probably have at least another 1,000 that I've written down and haven't done yet.
That's amazing.
So here it is 10 years later with hundreds of videos that I can't even remember what I've done. Sometimes I'll come up with a great idea and I'll go, oh, I did that.
Let me remind you of some of these titles. So I was having a quick flick through Brad's YouTube channel earlier. And, we have the classic ones, like Not Good Enough. And there's other, I love this one, Avoiding Scheduling Things. Love it.
I have to tap along to that one myself.
Me too. Unleashing Your Inner Badass. Love it. Resisting Being an Adult.
I don't even remember that one. Wow, that sounds like a good one. I'm glad I did that.
I did an interview with one of my clients this morning, Paul Albert, and that was the whole theme of this, how he's had a big realization recently that he was living like a child, but in a grown-up's body. Anyway, that's a whole nother story, but that kind of like, oh my goodness, is one for that. What's deserving and worthy? I think so many of us are affected by that one.
Possibly the number one issue that stops people.
Absolutely. Now, it's so funny. I saw you did one for election anger. I did a very similar one, and I think it may have been the same election, but let's not go there anymore. Travel fears, feeling broken. Now, I love the title of this one. Not my circus, not my monkeys.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's a Polish saying, and I just love that, and I thought, hey, that would make a fun video.
Yeah, it's
sometimes my wife and I are getting stuck on something, and I have to remind us, it's not our circus, it's not our monkeys.
Absolutely. And sometimes I wonder, oh, is Brad actually going through this himself at the moment? And then he's like, right, that's it. I'm going to do a video on this.
Someone once asked, "How do you come up with all these ideas for videos?" And I said, "By being human."
It's so true. It's so true. And I guess the thing with tapping, well, it's also known as emotional freedom technique. For those who, I'm sure everyone who's watching here knows all this, and I think we forget really how we are totally governed by our emotions and our belief system, the limiting ones and the good ones, the thoughts in our heads and I think a lot of people come across tapping and think, oh, it's good for stress and anxiety, and oh, it's even good for kids doing exams. But there are so many other benefits to using tapping that can just, again, it is personal development for personal growth, taking your life and business and success and abundance, all those things to another level.
Anything that you want to be better in your life, and nothing's so good that it can't get better. And with any of those things, we can look at, is there some place where I'm holding myself back? So yesterday I posted a clip from another video I'd made that shows some world-class athletes tapping.
Yes.
And I know of World Series winning athletes and Super Bowl winning athletes that tap. These are people who are already in the 0.01% or smaller than that of their field. And they're still willing to use this to take them even further, to get even better.
Yeah.
Because what's possible for us, we have no idea. Because we can look around and we can see people doing absolutely phenomenal things in terms of sports, in terms of the arts, in terms of science, in terms of everything. And we go, oh, well, I couldn't do that. But we have this human capacity. It's like, okay, so what stopped me? Whatever it is, I choose to clear it. Whatever is limiting me from being the best I can be.
Yeah, so, absolutely. And the thing I think I'm the most grateful for having come across and learned and having tapping in my life is for using it with my own children. And I know that you've written a children's book. Is it 2 now?
It's 2 now. I was just my publisher just reminded me on a post. Because I have The Wizard's Wish, and then just did The Garden of Emotions.
Yeah, and my son, he's still at that age now. He's 13, where he wouldn't sit there and do it in front of his friends, but in the car on the way to a football match, and he'd probably be like, "Oh my God, Mum, are you really sharing this publicly?" He'll sit there and say, "Mum, can we do a bit of tapping now?" To get himself focused and ready for the game.
Tell him that there are probably more footballers than he knows that are tapping.
Yes.
And when some of them will come out of the closet about that, then maybe everybody will be going, "Oh, wow."
They will.
Awesome. Right now during World Cup, if some of these guys would say, "Oh yeah, I tapped so that I can be my best."
Yeah, they will. And then my son might kind of tell his mate, now it's just like, "Shh, Mum, be quiet, stop it." But I actually spoke to his coach about possibly doing it, and my son was like, "No, just be, I'll do it for me." But I said, "Ben, imagine how well your team would do if we all did it." He's just like, I haven't quite gotten to that level yet. So I'd love you to expand on that a bit more about tapping with children and your experiences of it, and your books as well.
Well, so it kind of started when I was interviewed for the film The Tapping Solution. And when Jessica was interviewing me, we kind of got on this topic of children, which wasn't how the interview had started. And then that was the section that they used of our interview for the movie. And so it's kind of like, well, maybe I should do more looking at children. And, as I'm sure you know, when you're tapping with folks, so many of the issues started from childhood experiences. Tapping with this guy in his 70s, and as we're tapping through, he suddenly remembered an incident from the 2nd grade. He could even remember what the other kid was wearing. These things get stuck. And these kind of events limit us throughout our lives. And you think, wow, if that hadn't have happened, where would this person have gone? So it's like, wow, if we can teach tapping to kids right then, and as soon as they have this limiting incident, it's like, oh no, tap that away. Don't let that stop you. Don't let that corrupt your self-identity to make you think that you're less than you really are and what's possible for you. What amazing things will happen. All these kids running around who are all potential Einsteins and Gandhis and Martin Luther King Jr.'s and, all these different possibilities if they didn't have all these limiting events telling them you're not good enough, you can't do this. If we can clear that, I mean, how quickly will we evolve as a race? So that's when I had the idea, well, I want to write a book and I want to have it to be, a kind of bedtime story. So I had this idea of a wizard who uses a magic wand and discovers the tapping, and just trying to make it a fun way to introduce it to kids.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. It's just lovely. And I think the more children who can have, and I'm hearing more and more about it now. Like recently I met up with a friend for dinner, and she had she had a friend with her. She was a teenager, and we talked a little bit about what I did. And she said, oh my goodness. She goes, she'd just done her A-levels here. So the exams that you take when you're 17, 18. And she said, we had a lady come in and tap with us for stress. I said, oh, I'm so happy to hear that. And this was in rural Devon. And I see it kind of becoming more widely known. And it's just so fabulous to hear. And I'm so glad there's so many tappers around who specialize in different things.
Yeah. There's this, I guess, very well-known celebrity chef in Australia named Pete Evans. I guess he's a huge celebrity in Australia, has asked me to be on a podcast. So I'm doing that later today. It's like, this is awesome. He's got like 1.5 million followers on Facebook, and it's like, awesome for you to bring this out to people, especially in terms of helping people live healthier lifestyles, because tapping can be so helpful in that. So, people are catching on and getting excited about this and saying, oh, I want to introduce this process to my followers. And it is very exciting.
It is, yeah. So what do you see as kind of like, I know this Big Vision TV, let's get a bit personal. I'd love to know a bit more about your big vision, Brad. What's your big vision, Brad?
My big vision is that it's just commonplace that people tap. That you could be out on the street and it's like, oh, this thing's bothering me. And you could do this and nobody would even look twice. In fact, people might go, oh, you know what? I should probably tap too. Thanks for reminding me. And it's just, and there's no resistance to it. It says, common as drinking water.
Yes.
And because the energy system is natural. Having a way of clearing our energy system is completely natural. I had gone through several, over the years, several different email or URLs for websites. When I first found out about EFT, I had Be Free and Beyond, and then it was bradyates.net. No one could remember that. I called it .com, which is some other guy in Hawaii who's gotten a lot of my business. And then I was trying to come up with a new name, and people were always saying, oh, I'm always telling my friends, tap with Brad. Oh, tap with Brad. You've got to tap with Brad. It's like,
yeah.
And so then I changed it to tapwithbrad.com, and I sort of have ideas of having T-shirts that say, yeah, I admit it, I tap with Brad. And
there are many of us
I want the whole world to tap with Brad. Now, that's not an ego thing of wanting people to just tap me, because there are so many other great tappers like you, and I have a lot of friends who are out there doing great. But to me, it's like, it's the same with like a musician. Someone writes a song, they want the whole world to enjoy their song, but they certainly don't expect that people won't listen to any other musicians.
Yeah, exactly.
They you hear musicians, they're always, the Rolling Stones will be saying, oh yeah, you should listen to the Beatles. You should hear this song. They're always saying, listen to this I love this other song by this other person. So it's really not a just
totally happen. Because somebody did say to me,
wanting to get it out there. So using the fact that people just get hooked on brands and kind of a celebrity thing. So some people do something to become a celebrity. There's a part of me that's like, I'm willing to become a celebrity so that people will do this. if it'll draw people, it's like, oh, you have to look at this thing and it'll get them tapping. Awesome, because I want people to clear whatever stops them from being their best selves so that they'll share their best selves with the world, because that makes a better world for me and my kids. So
100%. And I think the ripple effects of tapping, I think you and I, it's hard to really, it'd be amazing if we could see some kind of measure the ripple effects of tapping, but they go far and wide. The mum feels less stressed, and then the children kind of magically behave a bit better, and or you just do, when you're in a higher vibration place, you then just naturally affect the people around you. So
everything's energy. We're all connected. So I'm always telling people, like when I do interviews or group sessions and people are tapping, I'll say, you're healing the world right now because everything is connected. Yeah. So the clearing that you're doing has a global effect. And it reminds me, I don't know if you know who Zig Ziglar is.
Yeah.
Okay. So he talks about it's a cat kicking world. He says, because, someone has a bad day at the office, his boss yells at him. So he comes home and he yells at his wife and she gets upset. And so she yells at the kid and the kid gets upset and he goes and he kicks the cat. It's this trickle effect. Well, if that guy could tap, then whatever his boss is going through, it's like, okay, my boss is going through it. I'm choosing. Bob, it's Bob Doyle. Hey.
He's on in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. I love seeing how you're connected to other people that I know.
Yes, it's such a small. It is a small world. It really is a small world, and I've noticed that with the connection. It's a bizarre how the universe connects us all. And it's funny. It's interesting what you say about. It's not just about just tapping with you. It's just about tapping with me. And for me, the purpose of today was I just want to get more people tapping. I want people to see your videos. I have probably about 7 videos on YouTube. I'm very
even though I'm not making all the videos I could make. And in fact, everybody, just while you're here, just go ahead and be tapping, because even though we're not doing a formal round at the moment, just take this opportunity to just be clearing whatever is going on for you.
But,
let it go.
It's okay. And the number of people, and some of my clients even, I said, look, go tap with Brad.
And I take that as the greatest compliment when other practitioners and therapists, I have licensed therapists and doctors who have said, I tell my clients, my patients to tap with you. So,
yeah. Well, the thing is, somebody did actually say to me, but just in a kind of a, why are you having Brad? Is that not like, he does what you do? Is that not, competition kind of thing? I was like, no, nonsense. Absolutely.
No competition? Nonsense.
Yeah, no.
It's just like the music. It's like,
Exactly.
The Rolling Stones, you wouldn't say the Rolling Stones, you don't want anybody else to listen to the Beatles, do you? Of course I do. I want them to have all the music they can have.
Exactly.
Watch my videos, watch other people's videos,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Find what works. And there are going to be people who respond to the way you tap that'll go, I don't like tapping with Brad.
I doubt that very much.
And there are people, and sometimes they leave comments on YouTube. And that's fine, because there's over 7 billion people on the planet. And it doesn't bother. It's like, that's fine.
I just thought of one. Do you have a tapping video for bad comments on YouTube?
I have them on dealing with criticism.
Yeah, okay. Actually, Periscope was a very good training ground for thickening up my skin, shall we say, to weirdos. And anyway, so...
No, we don't need to judge. They're doing the best they can. And here's the thing is that, I got to the realization that people who have the most awful comments on YouTube about this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, you're a moron, those are the people who are most afraid that it'll work.
Yeah.
Those are the people who are like,
so true.
Don't you dare show me something that could more easily break me through my blocks and get me out of my comfort zone, because I'm terrified of leaving my comfort zone. I have to insist that you're an idiot, because the possibility that this actually works scares the heck out of me.
Yeah, yeah. It's
so I send them love. Send you love. I hope you get over this.
Yeah, so true. Yeah. So just looking at some of the comments here. Now, does anybody have any questions for Brad? I'd love to know. Then we can maybe have time for a few questions at the end. Also, I'm just wondering, and perhaps I might be putting you on the spot here, but could we do maybe
after all the years we've known each other, Mel, you're going to do this to me? Go for it. I told you, you can ask me anything.
Okay. Oh, hear that, kids? Ask him anything.
Doesn't mean I'll answer everything.
Oh dear. Right. No. So yeah, could we do a live round of tapping? And I don't know what on, and I'm going to let you decide. Unless, yeah, something that would maybe around big vision or.
Well, that's the show. So absolutely, let's do it. I was going to ask because we hadn't discussed that. I usually ask beforehand. Like I said, this guy's on this podcast later, and he said, "I don't want to put any pressure on you. And it may be totally inappropriate. I'm sorry if it is. Would you do some tapping on the interview?" It's like, oh, you can put pressure on that. I generally insist if possible, because I'm a relatively entertaining guy, but people don't want to just listen to me. They want. It's like, if you go to a Rolling Stone concert, you don't want them just to talk about the music. You want to hear them play. So yeah, absolutely.
Before we tap, I just want to address something very quickly. Now, I talk about tapping with my clients that you can use it in so many different ways, but that sometimes you just need a pick me up in the morning. Sometimes you need, I'd call it like a Bandaid, just to deal with, the then and now. Now, how often would you say, now I have my answer, but I'd love to hear your take on this. Should we just be doing Bandaid tapping? And when's the time to go a bit deeper?
Yeah, I recommend tapping on a daily basis. Yeah. To me,
just like brushing your teeth and having a shower.
Exactly. That's what I always say. It's energy hygiene. We have physical hygiene. We take a shower. We brush our teeth. We don't wait until it's like, oh, there's stuff growing between my teeth. Maybe now I should brush them. We brush them before it gets that way. We don't wait until people around us are holding their noses and go, maybe it's time to take a shower. We try to, it's preventative medicine. And so tapping, because stress builds up, there's all kinds of stuff, especially if we're on the internet, looking at the news or things like that. That stuff is affecting us energetically, and we need to have a way to clear that. Yeah. So, absolutely, if it's just a couple of minutes in the morning, and that's the first thing I do each morning, and I, may say affirmations, I may say a prayer. I'll say the Serenity Prayer sometimes, just as the first thing. And just be clearing out stress, preparing myself for the day. So sometimes just allowing myself to be as open and as productive and effective as I can be. Sometimes when there are things that are bothering me, maybe it's just going to be palliative care and just trying to, I'm just going to clear as much stress as I can, because I may not have a lot of time. But if I can bring stress down by 1 or 2 points, even, any progress like that is better than nothing. For the really heavy stuff, that's best when you have a session with someone.
Yeah.
I always say at the beginning of all my
videos, both available for hire.
Yeah. Find Melanie Bandaid online.
No, go to him. Go to him. Pointing the wrong way.
Absolutely. And please do, take advantage of Mel's expertise, because there are places we should not go by ourselves. Even though I have a couple of videos that are on the edge of going heavier than one might want to go in a video. I have one on trauma and abuse. And that's to take the edge off. This is not, hey, in 10 minutes, I'm going to, cure whatever is, these deepest issues. Not that can't happen, because we have amazing healing capabilities. But, so it's being careful about that, and recognizing, okay, there are certain things that we might need to deal with that we may want to be careful about what we're doing, and we want to be with someone who can be there, either guiding us through it or at least someone there for emotional support.
Yeah, I think so. Gracie Ruth just said, what does he mean by we should not go alone? So I think Brad's just answered that sometimes when we reach some very painful memories, that actually it's much better to be supported and in the hands of somebody who, can help in the situation, rather than being, I'm on my own, what do I do?
And we'll encourage you to keep tapping, because what happens is, as we're going through and we peel the layers of the onion, and we might hit something, we might uncover something that was upsetting that we've been covering. It's not like the tapping creates that, but it's like cleaning your room. Your room, it looks pretty clean, and then you go and you move the sofa and you find there's dirty laundry underneath. It's like, oh, I shouldn't have cleaned my room. Now it's a mess. It's like, no, it was already there. Now you can really clean it. But we might get really upset. It's like, oh, I remember this thing. Oh, shoot, this terrible thing happened. It's like, no, don't stop tapping.
Yeah.
Now's the time to keep tapping. So to have someone who can say, keep going, keep clearing, move through this. So, and can lend us that support so we can get through it.
Yeah, so there was another couple of questions here. So let me just check.
I love the question. Come on, folks, we're never going to get to any tapping. If you
Okay, we'll just do one or two questions. Or maybe, Brad, if you've got time later, perhaps you maybe want to, between us, we could come and answer the questions in the comments. Somebody, a general question, how often should you tap?
Every day. Every day.
So top
and
three.
For how long is up to you. Don't tap. The whole purpose of tapping is setting ourselves free so we can live the best life possible. So don't spend all your day tapping such that you can't be out in the world.
Unless you come to a Brad Yates workshop.
Well, there's that. What a full weekend.
I did 3 days of it. I think I was like, oh my God, I think I've bruises.
I don't know. Did I tell? I can't remember if I told folks on that Sunday that I'd got an email Saturday night from a couple who said, we love this. This was the most awesome thing. We're not coming back tomorrow because we're toast.
I came back. Oh, it was the best. Yeah.
And it takes a toll on me, as you know, from seeing me at the end of a weekend-long workshop, and I'm just
and it was actually you that kind of taught me. I remember that first night, everyone's yawning their heads off, and I'm thinking, I'm really yawning here, and thinking, oh God, I hope then because so many energies are shifting, and I think, yes, it's great, yawn away, because Brad says it's all about shifting energy and it's good. It's like, oh, good for you, because I don't really think I'm bored or anything, but I just can't stop yawning.
No, it's a good thing when that yawning happens.
Okay, right. So let's tap for big vision. Our big vision, your big vision.
Yeah. So everybody go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and hold it. And let it go. And allow yourself to think about something that you think you have a big vision about. And ask yourself, could this vision be bigger? If you're thinking, well, I want to have just enough money to get by each month. I'm going to encourage you to have a bigger vision than that. I have so much money that I have what I want, and I'm able to share with others who aren't able to get what they want. And just thinking, imagining that vision even bigger, and notice what resistance might come up. Notice what part of you might say, oh, you couldn't do that. Oh, who do you think you're kidding? Who are you to think that big? Just allowing yourself to be aware of what limitations you put on your vision. Notice what you feel physically. Notice what you feel emotionally. Notice what thoughts, beliefs, and memories might contribute to any need to limit your vision. And take a deep breath. Open your eyes. And Mel, if you'll be my echo voice, and everyone else and I'm assuming on your list, probably don't need to go into the whole disclaimer, but I'll say.
Let's say.
Let's take full responsibility for your own well-being while we're tapping. even though I sometimes limit my vision.
Even though I sometimes limit my vision.
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I sometimes limit my vision.
Even though I sometimes limit my vision.
I choose to love and honor myself anyway.
I choose to love and honor myself anyway.
Even though I sometimes limit my vision.
Even though I sometimes limit my vision.
I think about things that I want.
I think about things that I want.
And I limit it.
And I limit it.
Don't ask for too much.
Don't ask for too much.
Don't think too big.
Don't think too big.
Who do you think you're kidding?
Who do you think you're kidding?
Just ask for a little bit.
Just ask for a little bit.
But when I win, it benefits others.
It benefits others.
So why would I limit that?
So why would I limit that?
And even though I sometimes limit my vision,
And even though I sometimes limit my vision,
I choose to deeply and completely
I choose to deeply and completely
love, honor, and accept myself.
Love, honor, and accept myself.
And maybe anyone else.
And maybe anyone else.
Who has taught me to limit my vision.
Who has taught me to limit my vision.
All these limits on my vision.
All these limits on my vision.
All these ways that I limit my vision.
All these ways that I limit my vision.
I'd love to have a big vision.
I'd love to have a big vision.
But part of me says, that's for other people.
That's for other people.
I'm supposed to play small.
I'm supposed to play small.
But as Marianne Williamson said, your playing small doesn't serve the world.
Your playing small does not serve the world.
So I'm clearing the need to play small. I'm allowing my vision to get bigger. Because the bigger my vision, the more people who benefit from it. I have gifts and talents to share. I choose to share them in a big way. And that'll look different for different people. I don't know what it's supposed to look like entirely. Some of that's up to the universe. But I'm not going to place limits on it. I'm willing to serve. I'm willing to play big. I'm willing to think big. And I'm clearing the blocks to that. I'm clearing all the fear that comes up. It would be really dangerous to play that big. People might see me. And then they'll make negative comments. And that would be horrible. Yeah, it'd be horrible for them.
Yes, it'd be horrible for them.
Doesn't have to be horrible for me. Because the people that I really admire, who have had big visions, and changed the world, have put up with a lot of criticism. There are few people who have had great visions, for whom everyone in the world said, under the mouth, that's great, you do that. We're 100% behind you. And we love everything you do. But that's what I want.
But that's what I want.
That's what I want. And if that's not how everyone's going to think,
And if that's not how everyone's going to think,
I need to limit my vision. And I'm not bad or stupid for doing this. I'm just buying into old programming. People who told me to play small. People who told me to avoid disappointment. People who told me to avoid criticism. That's because they were afraid of that stuff. And they didn't know how to tell me. Look, I'm afraid of disappointment. But please don't let that stop you. Maybe they needed to justify maybe they needed to justify the way they were doing things.
Maybe they needed to justify the way they were doing things.
And I'm sending them love.
And I'm sending them love.
And I'm setting myself free.
And I'm setting myself free.
To let my vision get even bigger.
To let my vision get even bigger.
Because that's a win-win for me and the world.
Because that's a win-win for me and the world.
It's an act of love for myself.
It's an act of love for myself.
It's an act of love for other people.
It's an act of love for other people.
And I'm clearing anything that blocks that love.
And I'm clearing anything that blocks that love.
Releasing what doesn't feel like love.
Releasing what doesn't feel like love.
And the more love I feel,
and the more love I feel,
the grander my vision gets.
The grander my vision gets.
And I choose to really love that.
And I choose to really love that.
In body, mind, and spirit.
In body, mind, and spirit.
And take a deep breath. Close your eyes and dream big. Imagine a big vision. And hopefully that feels more comfortable. Hopefully it feels more expansive. And lather, rinse, repeat as necessary, so that
that's
you just open yourself more and more to sharing your gifts and talents with the world. You know, that's why I put so many videos out for free. It's because people have gifts and talents to share, and I want people to clear whatever is stopping them from sharing them.
Yeah, so true. And I just want to end very quickly with you just before you said you're going to Italy soon, and we talked about Michelangelo and statue, and you use that a lot.
Michelangelo's dead. You can see it all over my office. He's on every wall.
He's on the front sheet of your worksheets that you hand out at your workshop. So just tell us a little bit about, why you resonate so much with that.
Yeah. So, I've always loved the day. The first time I saw it, and besides just being the most magnificent piece of art in the world, I just love how Michelangelo said that the statues were already there perfect inside the marble. All he had to do was chip away what didn't belong to reveal the masterpiece inside. And to me, that is the perfect metaphor for what we're doing with EFT. Because our best selves, our healthiest, happiest, most loving, most successful selves are already inside. We're just tapping away what doesn't belong. The excess marble is the doubts, the fears, the beliefs that we're not worthy, the guilt, the shame. Clear that away, and you can't help but reveal this masterpiece. So that's why I have David on my business cards. It's on my Apple Watch, because to me that's the perfect metaphor for what we're doing. We're just sharing that masterpiece with the world.
Beautiful. What a great day to end on. So everyone, go tap with Brad.
And tap with Mel.
Thank you so much for being my guest today. It's been so much fun. And
it's so great to see you again. My pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
You're very welcome. And thank you everyone for watching. Right.